talk to us today about the generator, how it's been going so far, and when the generator is finished, what it's going to mean to us. Good time.
All right, good morning, Rotarians. This is my first time actually being able to speak for you all. I've only ever sat in the meetings, so it's nice to be on the other side. It's an honor to speak with you all today. My name is Matanane, and I'm the spokesperson for Power on the Move. Joining me today is Mr. Jon Hightower, owner's engineer and site manager for the Ukudu power plant. Doosan Ukudu Power and Doosan Enerbility have been contracted to move heavy haul equipment components for the new 198 megawatt power plant in Ukudu, Dedido. The plant's construction is scheduled for completion and to be operational by October of 2024. The Ukudu power plant will use 50% less fuel than Guam's current power plants and will be the most efficient energy producer in Guam, help create a more stable power system for our island, burn 94% cleaner emissions, and substantially reduce the cost of power for all residents. Power on the Move is the transport project's public outreach and communications arm. The effort includes paid and earned media on radio, television, newspaper, digital billboards, and social media. Today, I will be discussing how the team will be transporting the components via SPMT trailers, details of the transport and return trips as well as the convoy, how we're getting the information of the moves out to the public, as well as specified businesses and organizations, and we'll also go through a short tour of our website. The construction of the Ukudu power plant will require the installation of power generation equipment cargo that is very large and very heavy. The cargo will arrive from overseas via ship and will need to be transported from the Port Authority in Pidi all the way to the Ukudu site in Dedido. Now, due to the weight of this cargo, the transport will require specialized equipment to transport it on Guam's roadways. The project will include the use of self-propelled modular trailers, or SPMTs, provided by Smithbridge with axle configurations designed to obtain acceptable safety factor ratings approved and permitted by the Guam Department of Public Works. There are 25 overweight and oversized cargo units that will require the use of the SPMT trailer and lowboy. There is specified cargo that will require the use of a 22 axle trailer. And when this is on the road, they are going to only be using this one. This is used for the heaviest of cargoes, which was used during our first transport. That was one of the heaviest loads. However, most of the equipment being transported will only use the 16 and the 18 axle configurations. And when those are moving on the road, we'll be using both of those at the same time in order to lessen the amount of days needed for movements. The transport of cargo will be performed from January to May of this year. The trailers will take up 2 lanes and travel at an amazing speed of 1 mile per hour. Now, certain areas of the path have been marked with avoid signs on them. Avoid markings, excuse me. Now, this is purely instructional purposes for the operators. This is not something that the general public needs to worry about. It's just an additional precaution that we're taking along with our steel plates that are laid in areas to protect infrastructure where the SPMT and route plan do not allow the SPMT to avoid obstacles. Now, there will always be 1 lane open with the exception of when the SPMT crosses over bridges and culverts, as well as when it moves into the southbound lane to avoid mass arms during the transports to Ukudu. When it's moving over the bridges and culverts, GPD will be closing off roads temporarily 250 feet in front and behind the trailers. Now, some of you may have heard about how the first move went. We were anticipating that this was going to be, the longest, kind of the roughest out of all the moves because the crew is trying to, they're learning how to do everything, not learning how to do everything, but this is their first time doing this specific project. So, We had an ETA of 12 hours. The convoy ended up getting off of Route 1 about 18 hours. So you can imagine, after that, Director Ariola was like, yeah, you need to figure out how to do that again, because that's not going to happen again. So we have refined the plan, and now the transports are split into 2 days. So we just had the third transport, first leg, happen last night. It left from the Port Authority, made its way all the way to the ITC intersection where it's parked at the GPA transportation shop. So there's going to be the second leg happening tonight at 9 p.m. And glad to say that that has worked out incredibly well. The earlier transfer this week, both the first and second leg actually ended up finishing 3 hours ahead of schedule, so that's been amazing. During the transportation, escorts and crews comprised of the Guam Police Department, G4S, Pacific Unlimited Inc., Smithbridge TG Engineers, GPA, Docomo Pacific, and Polyphase accompanied the SPNT trailer to protect infrastructure with steel plates, the adjustment of overhead utility lines, the management of traffic, and supporting the transportation provider. The SPMTs take up 2 lanes, and with such a large convoy, you can imagine the traffic that might come along with it. Now, the convoy travels during non-peak hours, and we need to make sure that the public is aware of all of this.
For your safety and convenience, please listen to this important message. Look.
Big Fish was contracted as the public relations firm to perform public outreach. Now, the public outreach plan includes, but is not limited to, all forms of media via print, radio, television, and social media, which have been utilized for communicating the transportation plan, including publishing of transport times, alternate route options, and expected delays. Now, I'm going to play this little clip here. It basically gives you a good overview of everything. This has gone on TV, radio, online, so it also has our road signage that you'll be able to see here.
For your safety and convenience, please listen to this important message. Lower monthly bills in Guam's energy future are coming. The construction of the Ukudu power plant will begin soon, requiring heavy haul components to be transported from the Port Authority to Ukudu. Expect traffic delays as the transport convoy will be traveling on Marine Corps Drive at 1 mile per hour for 12 hours. Please drive carefully. Log on to poweronthemove.org for more information. Doosan Ukudu Power and Doosan Enerbility thank you for your patience.
Courtesy letters have been distributed to businesses impacted along the transport route to advise of the project timelines, as well as large community organizations to amplify the message. Government of Guam agencies, military installations, and the local media are also included in our distribution list and our issued press releases. In addition, the official Government of Guam email address for the Communications Office is also included in our Power on the Move email distribution list for project newsletters and updates. As commonly practiced, all official notices are sent in attention to the Communications Director for the Government of Guam. Weekly traffic updates are also sent via the Guam Transportation Program newsletter, which is distributed to over 2,500 recipients, including the Government of Guam Public Notices portal, which is available for all Government of Guam agencies. So, if you're a GovGuam worker, or you know anyone that's a GovGuam worker, I trust that you've been receiving these notices. If not, I'm going to have to make a call. So now we're going to do a little tour of our website. This is poweronthemove.org. Now, the website serves as a repository to host all information for public access and reference. So, here we have the homepage and the most recent update. Okay. So, as you can see, we have that the first leg was completed and is parked at the ITC intersection. We have yet to release the press release because I'm here right now, so that'll be happening after the meeting. And right when you go down, you have the option for alternate routes. This live location is the biggest tool for the public to know exactly where the convoy is at all times. So once you're able to click on that, you see that it's going to be a certain area, click the alternate routes and you can find your route accordingly. And then here we have below the email subscriptions. Very easy. All you have to do is put in your email address and you automatically get a notification that you'll be receiving updates. Then of course we have details about the project, that ad I just showed you. And because we know that there are a lot of people that are curious, we have galleries available for the community to see what the SPMTs look like. Last thing we want is for them to look at the live location and be like, oh, it's going to be at the ITC, let me go drive down there and get caught in a 1 mile per hour convoy. So we have this here, which is just great. That's over at the port. And then we have the traffic management plan where the convoy will travel to the oncoming lanes, a list of the intersections. Bypass routes have also been developed, suggesting alternate routes and detours to help the public avoid traffic delays. So everything that you would need to keep in tune with the move is on this website, as well as our social medias, which I can cover later. But for now, I'd like to turn the mic over to Mr. Jon Hightower. He's going to be speaking on all the technicals and the logistics. So I'm speaking on the public outreach. So he's the man that knows all the details.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. As Tyler suggested, I'm Jon Hightower. I'm the site manager for the owners group. Is that better? Thank you very much. It's much more advanced and polished than mine's going to be. Mine is basically going to show you the technical aspects of the project itself, where it is, how we're going to get the fuel there, what the major components are, and some of the timelines. So with that, we'll just jump right into it. Project overview, the introduction, and a little bit of the schedule. This is a basic overview. It's roughly 200 megawatts. It's a 3-unit gas turbine set with HRSGs, which is heat steam recovery generators. The exhaust gas from the turbine is passed through a conical shape where water walls are attached. It turns that water into steam. That steam is taken to a steam turbine. It's rotated and turns another generator, hence the combined cycle part of the project. The basic fuel is ULSD, which stands for ultra low sulfur diesel. So it keeps the particulate quite low, and natural gas dual fuel capability. This is a build, operate, transfer under energy conversion agreement between ourselves and your local utility here, GPA. The sponsor obviously is KEPCO, Korean Electric Power, and East West Power Corporation. Those two entities were joined here on the island of Guam, and a new entity called Guam Ukudu Power was formed, and they are the project company. The EPC is Busan Interability. Mr. Park is the project manager for Busan here on the island, and he will be overseeing the project on the nuts and bolts level. The off-taker obviously is GPA, which I'm sure you're all very familiar with. This is the power plant location. You can see this is your mall. This is Matanane Mall. This is the way to the water treatment facility, and we occupy this area that was once forested right behind your hospital. So it's 25 acres, it's 40 acres at this point because you need laydown area, but at the time of COD, it would be the 25 acres that it's scheduled to be. This is the fuel line. It starts at Pitty, at the fuel depot, runs along behind the airport, up the road past your mall, all the way to the site. That's how the fuel will get to the generation facility. This is the purpose of the new power plant, is the reliability, which is a problem as these plants start to age, especially combustion turbines, as they start to age, they need more and more maintenance, and it becomes, they're just not cost effective to run anymore. So it's much easier and cheaper to build a new one. This one will have much better reliability because of the type of turbine that it is, and it's also lower in emissions, uses less fuel, it's quiet, all of those type of things. As technology's advanced, obviously, this is many factors above and beyond what you currently have. And it's also integratable into the green portfolio that's also now coming online on the island. So it's win-win. This is the project summary. In October of 18, the invitation for a bid was issued. In 5 of 19, the first submission went out. In 6 of 19, the preferred bid was put on notice. The ECA was signed at the end of 19. In January of 21, the LNTP was granted. The beginning of last year, first quarter or second quarter of last year, the FNTP. September of last year, we reached financial close. The last two dates in blue are the most important to us remaining. Is the 9th of this year, we will go into tower receiving where we start doing our commissioning. And October of next year is when COD will be achieved. COD is commercial operation date. This is the project structure. Up on the top, you can see KEPCO, East West Power. Those are the sponsors. They formed project company, which is here on Guam Clean Power. The off-taker with the ECA agreement is Power, Fuel, and Water with GPA. The financing comes from Korea X-Bank. From Doosan Mobility is the contractor, Mr. Parker. So this is the basic structure of the business side. This is the technical bits that what the plant is going to consist of. 3 gas turbines, the SGT 800, roughly 45 megawatts apiece, and there'll be 1 Doosan Skoda steam turbine, roughly 70 megawatts apiece. This is a breakdown of what the gas turbine is, what the outputs are on both ultra-low sulfur meter and natural gas, which at some point the piping will be in place to switch to natural gas. In the center, this is a footprint of the plant itself, and it shows you where each one of these items is going to be. This is the HRSG. This is cut into 4 sections. These are the modules that Tyler was discussing that are slowly working their way up, jamming your traffic up in the middle of the night. So that's what these are for. And also there'll be 3 transportations of the gas turbines.
Where are these components manufactured? In Korea or are they?
Yes, in Korea. It's the basic project schedule. I gave you the outline of the limited notice to proceed, HRSG install. This is the modules that are coming on the heavy transport and the gas turbine. Power receiving will be in September of this year. First firing will be in the first quarter of next year. Reliability run and COD will be in October of next year. So roughly in a year and 8 to 9 months, this plant will be online and commercially viable. Tyler's already reached on most of these things. First delivery of the HRSG. The last equipment will be in the May-June range of this year. There was some UXO that was discovered during the excavation of the fuel line. Obviously, given the history of this island, some of that was to be expected. So we've got a professional company here that does the scouting for us and makes sure that there's nothing that's going to affect the plant moving forward. Navy fuel transfer operations is also a consideration we have to take into account. As they are pumping, we're not allowed to do any excavation for obvious reasons. Whatever we do not want to disturb the Navy or their operations. And then the price of materials obviously has climbed since we started this operation, but that's an agreement that we're working on between ourselves. But as you know, things go up, they never go down, so it's just part and parcel of doing business on an island. NTP issuance and financial close. These dates I mentioned to you earlier, accomplished in September of last year. All of our permits were finally achieved, actually in October of last year. And to date, as of the end of December, we had 626,000 safe man-hours on site. So that's quite a good record for the guys working at site. And also a shout out to Doosan and their HSC teams. That's the Chowett River. Critical path of the works is the water and reuse receiver from DWA, which is about a click and a half behind where the plant is, and we'll run separate lines from the installation. HRSG and the high bill will happen later on in this year. Stakeholder engagements with the hospital, we've done some improvements there, improved the road and did some clearing for them and tried to be good neighbors as you can be. Biological plan, there's a specific type of snail that's indigenous to the island that we're taking great care to stay away from, and we've got Guam EPA and US EPA involved, Environmental Protection Agency, so we're all working together to make sure that there's no harm. The name of the plan is Zero Loss. So we try not to disturb them, we're not going to relocate them.
You mentioned something about labor. How many hours?
626.
626, and where is that labor coming from? Is that local labor?
It's a mix. It's a mix from the mainland, it's a mix from Korea, it's a mix from Philippines, and also myself, I live in Thailand, and some of the other fellas, so it's a mix.
Okay.
Anything else on that? And that's the end of the technical presentation. And then there's a short presentation that will show you a flyby of the project. apologize for the music, that wasn't my idea. Okay.
Questions? I'm new to the island, so maybe some of my questions are, kind of lame, but what kind of redundancies or contingencies are part of this operation for super typhoons, earthquakes, that kind of stuff? A while back, we had this super event and we're out of power for a month, is my understanding. What kind of systems do you have?
During the design phase, the seismic activity of the island, as well as the 100-year events as far as hurricanes and typhoons and that type of thing, are taken into account. Obviously, the turbines are pretty bulletproof, so the idea is to build a strong enough structure around them that would survive that. The weak part of that, of course, is the infrastructure around it. If fuel is cut off for some reason, or if the lines are taken down for some reason, obviously that cannot be controlled. As for the plant per se, unless the ground opens up underneath it, it'll keep running. The turbines are pretty resilient. They're aeroderivatives, they're supersized as what you get on a large airliner. Yes, sir.
Sorry. You're older than me. What's the turning radius of that mobile unit?
0 degrees. It can spin on its own axis.
And the second question, what provisions are being made for bringing in the natural gas?
There's a pumping station that's going to be built down close to the port. I believe that's going to be a government operation. And then as we're laying the pipe for the fuel right now for the ULSD, we're at the same time we're laying the gas pipe with it. So as soon as the terminal is ready, we're ready to hook up. So it's future proof.
Yeah, my question is simply, is this going to replace the current power plant that we have?
I think Penny 8 and 9 are going to be retired, if I'm not mistaken. Those 2 units are the ones that will be retired, and this one will take over. Obviously, this is much more capacity than those 2 units, but I think there's a bit of a gap that needs to be filled. So this will fill that gap that's underutilized right now, and also replace the 8 and 9.
So if we take the total power being used, what kind of percentage would this service provide as opposed to with the current?
I'm not sure what the 2...
50% of the power may be covered by.
Okay.
I noticed that there's a fuel line. Is that already constructed or is that?
It's in process now. It's roughly, I'd say, 20 to 25% complete. Sorry, mate. Yes.
Why does the trailer have to cross into the northbound? Why does it have to switch to the southbound lanes while going north?
It depends on if it has to traverse a corner or if it has to go underneath something, because you've got the lights here. Some of them are fixed on arms that can't be removed. You'd have to take them down and put them back up again. That's really not feasible. So you have to shift into a lane. You'd shift traffic around it and then it'd shift back into its lane. Yes, sir.
I heard that it's going to save about 45 million gallons of oil a year. Is that correct?
I believe it's a little more than that, but something in that neighborhood, yes. Because they're far more efficient than the 25-year-old technology that's being utilized.
I think that would be a big banner on the side of the green canvas.
I'm sure there's some politician somewhere that will utilize that the next cycle. Count on it. Okay.
I was just curious, how much transport machines or those big machines do you guys have?
There's 2 units that can be broken into separate sections, but 2 units.
Okay, so you never thought, I'm just curious why you don't want them back to back expedite.
Because it's already so long, you've got 7 Guam PDs that follow in individual cars, then you've also got PUI that follows, then you've got escort vehicles, and that's just for one. And that takes several hundred feet. So if you do that times 2, it would be unmanageable.
The operator of the big transport, he's there for a static 8 hours or something like that?
No, he can rotate off.
He can rotate?
Yes.
So the burning question, what is his playlist?
I think they all have their own.
Just a question.
Yes,
Is your location above the aquifer or?
No, it's actually at the top of Two Lovers Point. If you come out here on the beach and you look up at Two Lovers Point and figure back about 2 kilometers, you'll see some large cranes, and back there, that's exactly where it is. Or if you go to the hospital up there, forget the name of that road that starts golf courses on, whatever that is, but you make a left, and the hospital's on your left, you'll be able to see the site.
It's just visiting the hospital, not
Driving past the hospital.
Number, this kind of component is located near the shoreline at the CPA location. But GPA, the carbon monoxide, to be avoided kind of a natural digester. They make the point at the location.
Far away from the city center.
How soon do you project the employment of locals as opposed to bringing on this?
It would be all locals except for the management team from the owner side, and that would start during commissioning. They would start bringing people in on the local side and bring them on as ship supervisors, things of that nature, training them as the plant is being commissioned. And then after that, you'd start bringing in the
locals going to play local.
There'll be more than 75% of the operation team.
The land where it's located.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The land where it's located, was that GPA or was that land trust or was that private land?
I believe it was private land that was purchased. Yes, sir.
I understand that out of our lands, they're building super giant ups or when there's an interruption in power and you got to switch. Is there going to be giant ups there?
It's what we call the BSS, a battery energy storage system, and it will have the capability to store 30 megawatts for 30 minutes, which is more than enough time for a plant to go down, be switched offline, and to be brought back up online, especially in gas turbines. These can be back on in 5 minutes. So it's a little bit extra cushion, if you will, should the worst case happen. Good question, though. Anything else?
Who will be managing
The owner.
owner meeting?
Ukudu Guam Power. Guam Ukudu Power. The local entity here. So it'll be owned and operated by the local entity on the island. It is private, that's correct.
What's the cost of this project?
That's probably a trade secret, but above 500.
You guys have a fancy nickname for this project, like Beast Monster?
Ukudus.
Okay. Project Apollo.
That's it. That it, everybody? Okay, thank you for having us.
A little bit on our socials. So wanted to go over that again. We do have our website, poweronthemove.org. All inquiries can be emailed to me at info@poweronthemove.org. We also have our Facebook page, Power on the Move, and our Instagram, Power on the Move Guam. And with those, we're always updating our social medias. If you go to our Instagram right now, we have the alert of when the transport started last night. So those are extremely helpful. So we want to say that we are very confident that this next few months will go very smoothly. We've been working with not one, but 2 engineering companies, Matanane and Nickel, as well as locally based TG engineers. The team has done everything from load simulations with different axle configurations to scanning methods, non-intrusive inspections, and core samples of many highway areas. We have the best in this field on this project, and they know every detail from inch down to the ground. And let me tell you, we know we have the experts because we actually have guys that used to work at DPW here. So if anyone knows the roads, we know that we have the right guys here. We also have contingency plans ranging anywhere from equipment breakdowns to mobile collisions, which I think would be pretty surprising considering this whole convoy is very well lit with blinking lights and traveling at 1 mile per hour. But again, it's always better to be safe than sorry, and safety has been our top priority since the beginning. We want to assure the community that we have a very trusted and reliable team. It's going to be a bit to deal with for the next few months with this transport, but once we get everything down to the site, we're that much closer to lower power bills, which I know everyone here wants. The delays are an investment, driving us toward cleaner, more reliable, and more affordable energy for the island. Thank you. Sorry, say that again? I will ask the higher ups about that for sure. That would be really cool, actually. We were a few weeks into me hopping on board. I finally got to go and see the trailers in person, and just the units that are transporting the stuff down there is amazing. And then we got to go see the site. As you can imagine, that is massive itself. So seeing the little model that Mr. Hightower presented, it is really something to look forward to. So, you know, we have October 2024 when we'll be able to see everything change from that landscape to our power bills. So it's something to look forward to. All right. Thank you so much.